Hi, folks. I'm delighted to be part of the FinX Summit, and it's an even more delight to meet you all virtually today. So, my topic is how leaders pave way for high performance and financial success, right? So, before I even get started, I'd like to kindle your thoughts. Have you thought about the role a leader plays in shaping and molding teams? How a leader can make or break an organization, and how a leader can contribute to the financial success of a business. If you haven't thought about these, it's time to think about these right now. And by the end of my talk, we will know how leaders can nurture high performance, how a leader can improve the financial situation of a business, and how a business can be driven for financial success by a great leader, right? So I'm Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh. I call myself the Gain Enabler because I work on contributing to your success as a high performance business coach, best-selling author, and a professional speaker. So let me start off with a story, a real life incident that happened a few years ago. A 28-year-old lady, an expatriate from Europe, was sent to India to start a new business vertical. She was the head of this business of the Indian operations. It was a new place, new people, new culture, new language. And over 5 years, she grew the headcount to a few thousands. Not just that, she consistently grew the top line and the bottom line. This vertical was awarded year after year as the top performing division of the group globally. And guess what? After about 8 years, they decided to replace this position because she wanted to get back to her home country. The new person, though everything was there in a ready-made platter for him, did not deliver as expected, and he was nothing close to his predecessor. Sounds familiar? Have you experienced something like that? Now, why do you think such things happen? From my point of view, I think it's because the connect as a leader with the teams is what has been missing. So, my friends, let's explore, let's get to the brass tacks of leadership, high performance, and financial success. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So, what is leadership? Now, if you were to look into the dictionary definition, leadership is defined as an act of leading a group of people through influence and not by authority or power. I'm sure most of us are familiar with what leadership is and what a leader does. So what is high performance? High performance is achieving superior results by performing at a high standard as per targets set by you, right? That is what is high performance. So what is financial success? Well, financial success is what you define. And you know why I say that? It could be different from person to person, from business to business, from organization to organization. Because a financial success to some businesses may mean the top line growth. For some, it could be a bottom line growth. For others, it could be cash positive, being debt free, and so on. Or it could even be a mix and match of these. What is it for your organization? Because it will be great if you can define the financial success that you want, right? So, what is the link between leadership, high performance, and financial success? Okay, that's what our talk is going to be revolving on today. So, to state it very simply, a great leader drives high performance, which results in financial success, isn't it? And that is like music, isn't it? You know why I say that? I'm going to sing a little song here for you. Baba, hey leader, do you have more bugs? Yes, sir, yes, sir, 3 bags full. One as profits, one for my team, and one as reserves for a rainy day. Isn't that the thumb rule? As in letting a one third, of it as profits for the business, one third the team so that the teams are motivated, and another one third to be kept in as a reserve because you never know when the business will go through challenging times and when these reserves could be of use. So this is just to give you an idea on how a leader can, start incorporating such things, and that is going to motivate the teams, and everybody's going to be driven for high performance, and the business wins too. So that is what is going to make it a high performing organization that is all out for financial success. Okay, so how does a leader make or break a business? Now I would call it by the 3 Ds. Yes, the 3 Ds. The first D is the demands, a demands that a leader has both from the business as well as his teams. So what sort of demands do you as a leader have on the people around you? The second D is the deeds or the actions. Whatever actions a leader does has a lot of implications on the business. And not just that, the team tends to follow the leader's footsteps, isn't it? So the leader's deeds become very important. And the leader's decision, the third D is the decision making. Because whatever decisions you take is likely to have a financial repercussion as a leader. So you need to take the right decisions, which is in the right and the best interest of your organization. So those are the 3 Ds, the financial demands, the financial deeds, and the financial decisions that you make. And not just that, the leader and the teams are interdependent on each other. Did you realize that? Because a leader drives the teams and the teams look upon the leader, and the leader is only as strong as his team, right? So you need to have a great leader as well as a great team for the business to be financially successful. Now, we have heard many times of KYC, which is know your customer. But I'm going to talk to you about KYT, which is know your team. And I'll tell you in a moment why that's so important. Because a team has so many different people, right? Each one is different. Now, to give you an example, you have somebody who can be a rebel, a troublemaker, isn't it? And then you could have somebody who's probably lazy. Oh, I'm not interested. Yeah, you could have somebody like that. You could also have somebody who is silent. Yes, somebody who's silent, who doesn't communicate well with the teams, nor with the leader. And then you will have storytellers, right? Who sometimes even exaggerate about every little thing. They, making a mountain of a molehill, right? So you have people like that. And then you also have people who are, yes, boss, okay? And then you have people who, very common, grapevine, rumor mongering. Oh, this team did that. This other team, they were paid such a huge bonus. Why haven't I got my bonus? Yes, or my promotion. So there you do have people like that. And then you have quick learners, right? Who are very good, who are very adept at doing things. And you also have an ideator, a person who comes up with very good ideas at the time needed most, and who could also be like a problem solver and someone who's over smart, isn't it? And not just that, you may also have somebody who's a messenger, who's just carrying messages between teams or between the team members, especially during times of conflict. They can be a blessing or a bane depending on what they're doing. Of course, most teams also have the one who's very hardworking and who actually takes the entire responsibility and the load of the team. And you also have humorist, the joker of the team, who is always trying to make things light for your team. Now, apart from this, of course, there could be a host of other things. Now, why am I bringing this out to you? Because as a leader, first you need to know your teams, how the behavior of each team member is, because, I say, irrespective of whatever style of leadership you may have, you may be an authoritarian, you may be a servant leader, you may be somebody who's dominating, irrespective of whatever style you have, one trait that you must have is adaptive leadership. And that's very important. And I'll tell you why. Just like how each person of the team is different, yes, your leadership style must also be in such a way to accommodate the different kinds of members of your team, the different behaviors that they exist, right? So that's when the best in the team is going to come up. So how adaptable are you as a leader? This is something you can think through and see how you can customize your leadership based on your different team members, because remember, there is no one size that fits all. To each person, you have to adapt and mold yourself so that as a leader, you're able to bring out the best in your teams, right? So how can you bring out the best from your team members? Simple. Let me share 5 easy ways by which the best in your teams can be brought out. The first thing is to ask the right kind of questions that aid the growth of not only your team member, but also the business. Second is to incentivize. Incentivize your team member with whatever they like. It could be in terms of uh, bonuses, incentives. It could be travel, right? If they want to go overseas and explore other opportunities within the organization, it could be that. Because remember, compensation has an emotional value to it as well, right? So giving the right amount to the deserving candidates makes a whole lot of impact to them personally, and it becomes a win-win situation, because if the person is a high performer and contributing to the business gains, you gain as a leader, and your team member gains too. So incentivize them as monetarily, however the way they want. And of course, it need not necessarily be monetary, because it could also, for few people, what is important is their promotion, their career growth, what sort of challenges they are able to overcome, what sort of value are they able to add to the business, and what sort of flexibility do they have within the business operations. So these could also be some important factors. The fourth thing is to leverage the strengths of your team member. And that's a key ingredient for high performance, because when a person does something that's very close to their heart, something that they are very good at, the best in them comes out and they are going to be a high performer. So leverage on the strengths of your team member. Lastly is to educate your team members, because people like to learn and grow. So either you educate if it is an area of your domain, or you can always get them to go for other courses externally, but the idea is to make them learn and grow, right? So by doing this, the best in the team can be brought out by you as a leader, creating a win-win for everybody. Now, leadership. What are the traits of leadership? Now, if leadership were an acronym, how would that be? Let me share here with you. I conducted a workshop for the members of the CXO club. All the senior leaders of different organizations came together and attended this leadership workshop. And it was an amazing workshop because they had some fabulous takeaways, most of which I'm going to share with you here, right? And that is the beauty of coaching. When somebody wants to excel in whatever area of their choice, the best in them comes out. So I'm going to summarize what were the major takeaways of these senior leaders out of this leadership workshop. And yes, I'm going to talk to you as if leadership is an acronym because it's easy for you to remember. So what does L stand for? L is to listen, because leaders many times don't tend to listen to their team members. Having a patient here, listening them out, making the team members open up to you as a leader is very important, because then you know the thought process of your team members and therefore listen with an open heart. E is to empower. Empower your teams in such a way that the best in them is going to come out. They are able to be strong and decide what is best for the organization and the business. A is to appreciate. Tell me, who doesn't like to be appreciated on a job that's well done? Oh, and by the way, you can appreciate my talk as well if you like it. So it's important to appreciate whenever your team member accomplishes something that's really good. D is to develop. Develop your team members, because that's where their growth is, right? And they're going to feel very happy, accomplished, and satisfied about their own performance. So develop your team members. E is empathy. These days, many times, many leaders I have seen miss this ingredient. And it's very important. We are all human after all, right? So display empathy and put your emotional intelligence at work. R is respect. Respect your team members for whatever they're able to contribute, for whatever they are worth it, whatever they are able to do for you and your business and your team. So it's important to respect your team members. S is to support. Support your teams at the time they need the most. Give them that motivation, give them the encouragement that they require. Ensure you're there for them all the time when they need, and show your support for your team. H is high performance, right? As a leader, you have to be a high performer, and not just that, you have to ensure your team is also a high performing team, because high performance and high profits go hand in hand, right? I is to inspire. A leader's job is to inspire the teams so that they feel kicked about what they want to do and bring out the best in them. And P is being positive. Being positive about your leadership style, being positive about their contributions, about the value they're adding in, and overall as a business. And that's when a leader is shining for the team members to follow suit. Right. So now let's check out how to improve the financial situations. Because by being a good leader, we just saw how you can nurture high performance and how to get your team's buy-in by setting those high performance goals that you have. So the next thing we're going to see is, as a leader, how can you improve the financial situation? Now, like I said, the financial metrics is something that you have to define. What is it specific to your industry, to your organization, to your team? So narrow it down to what it really means. And thereafter, define what it could be. Now, obviously, there could be things like growth, because everybody wants growth, but deep dive and specify what exactly is growth. And then it could also be like productivity, right? How well are your teams producing? How well, it could be the output, what the team is delivering. So productivity could be a key measure. And then you could have things like your employee net promoter score, ENPS, right? If that's important to you, put that in. Then you could also have like recoverability, collection of the money from your debtors. So recoverability and cash is something that's important. Put that down as well. Of course, you could have other parameters like cost. The cost, is definitely an important measure for financial success, because you're always trying to see, how you can lower the costs and grow your margins. And then it could also be time, because why? Time is money. And it could even be things like business development, right? Because you want your business to grow, and you're probably trying to see how well a team member is contributing to the business growth. So if you notice, what is the common thread amongst all these financial metrics? The examples that I gave you, it is profit. Because financial success, end of the day, you can have different parameters, but all of them narrow down to one fact, which is profit. And that is what is the key, right? So as a leader, how can you improve financial performance that can lead to financial success, right? Because profits is what something that we all get measured by, right? So how can you do that? So the first thing I would say is to create the financial awareness. Now, most of the teams, what I've realized, uh, they're just thinking on their domain, whatever is their area of expertise, they're only focused on that. They don't tend to think of what can be the financial implication of the business, right? So it's first step, you need to educate your team on financial awareness. And then comes financial education. Once they are aware, they need to know how the function of finance works. So you need to, instigate their thoughts on the financial aspect, and then, if required, get them some proper financial education done so that they are able to think on financial terms. And then, of course, comes your financial decision making, right? Because every decision that's being made in an organization will have a financial repercussion. Now, is that repercussion helping your business to grow? That's something you need to think of. And not just that, there is another thing that I've noticed, many people tend to make financial decisions based on their emotions and not rational. Now, while we are humans, of course, yes, we are driven by emotions, but the important thing is you need to understand what is the financial implication, what is the financial repercussion of any particular decision that you're making. And then, of course, you have financial demands and the financial needs. So make your team members aware of that so that, whatever sort of demands they have and whatever deeds that they do will also result in the financial implication of the business. And of course, financial metrics, this is what we saw. So whatever is the important financial metrics, educate your team on that and, ensure everybody is going together in the same path. And lastly, yes, you can have something like a financial dashboard, because a dashboard will give you the overall summary, an overall picture. So one look by you or your team members, you get an overall picture of how the business is being functioning. So a dashboard can be very useful and effective, right? So if you're not into the habit of having a dashboard, get started right away. So as a leader, what is the art of leading and driving high performing teams? So what you should know the strengths of your people, right? We already spoke about the KYT and the adaptive leadership. So know your strengths. What is each person good at in your team? Second, develop your team, because as they develop and grow, the better for you and the better for the business. Third, provide specific, timely, and actionable feedback. You could probably even give a feed forward so that the person is always ready and geared up to perform the way you want the member to perform. Four, like I said, empathy. Lead with empathy. You are the leader, so lead your team with empathy. And lastly, act like a coach. Have a coaching conversation with your team members and nurture their growth and make them feel like a champion. So if I were to then summarize, right? Not summarize, I'm going to share this matrix with you on leadership and performance. Now, if the leadership is poor and the performance is also low, of course, you're not being productive and it's not good for the business. But if the leadership is poor and yet the performance is high, it means you lack the vision, the long-term vision. How is it you want to steer the organization further for growth? Is it just the short-term success? But then, you need to have the long-term vision for your organization. So that's when the matrix here represents that lack of vision. Now, if the leadership is good and yet the performance is low, it means there is a great amount of potential and it's not being tapped to the maximum. And of course, if the leadership is good and the performance is high, you are on the growth path. So see, where do you fit your business and your organization and your team into this matrix, right? So we are almost towards the end of my talk. And if I were to summarize the three main aspects: be an adaptive leader, drive high performance in your teams, and educate the team on the financial implications and coach them for financial success so that everybody is kicking and rocking, right? So remember that a leader is only as successful as the team, and team is another abbreviation. Together, everyone achieves more. So you have my contact information here. I'm happy to connect with you. I'm active on LinkedIn. And yes, these are my books. One is What the Finance is a best-selling book. And my new book I've just launched is called Get High. And it has been endorsed by Coach Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. So that talks about high performance, how you can coach yourself for high performance in your work. Because like I said, I believe high performance and high profits go hand in hand. So I'd like to wish you the very best of high performance. You know, I want your profits to soar and grow, and you as a leader to lead and drive this financial success for your organization. So signing off here, and until I see you again, is Sangeeta, Shankaran, Sumesh, and yes, I'm open for Q&A, and I'll also catch you at the networking session, right?